I think for this one, because we're already at 44 minutes, and this is a 39-minute video. So I think we are going to double the speed, and if it's too fast, I'll lower it.
Hey guys, I'm back with another video. This will be part 2 of my Q&A with Mr. Snowflake. I want to thank Mr. Snowflake so
I'm gonna put it down. This is gonna be a long ass video, guys. I'm sorry.
much for putting this video together, and to everyone who asked me questions. I appreciate it so much. I did my best to give as much detail as I could in each answer, and I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it.
I do hope that, because my one quorum with Beck is that I wish that they would go a little bit more into detail on their answers. I do love the quickness of and the kind of sassiness of it, but I just I think it would be nice to have a little bit more detail in some of their explanations. So let's see if that happens.
Hi everybody, and welcome to part 2 of the audience's questions for Beck. Morning after the night before, morning after Amber's taken accountability video. Be interesting to see Beck's take on that, because that was...
Y'all, it always cracks me up when he's in a robe. This shit always cracks me up.
...of patheticness. I just can't believe how terrible it was. Right. Anyway, thanks for all your questions again. This is part 2. There's enough for a part 3, because there's just so many. So I haven't asked them all.
I'm down for it.
Really shorten it, because there's so many good questions. So there is a part 3. But anyway, part 2 for now. Thanks for your questions. Beck, thanks for agreeing to do this. I can't wait to see your response to that taking accountability. Right, here we go. Did Amber ever show what you think was genuine fear or concern when it came to her health and lack of mobility? Or does she just not care if she dies before 50? And did anything genuinely change after the cancer in terms of attitude or trying to get better, even if just temporarily? Good question.
She would sometimes cry and get upset about her weight. When I'd speak to her about it, what hurt her the most was always that she felt she would never be her goal weight, and that she would never look the way she wanted to look. Weight loss is hard. I know it is, but it's been so...
Okay, I'm sorry I'm already pausing, but that's exactly, I think, a lot of people's thoughts, but my thoughts watching it is Amberlynn isn't upset, and it's clear. She's not upset about the impact that her weight has on her health and the longevity of her life or the quality of her life. What she's upset about is that she's not some hot little thing walking around. And that really feeds into the narcissism. It's about Amberlynn. In her mind, she views herself as this amazing, talented, beautiful, stylish, blah, 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 interesting woman. But in reality, none of that is real, right? And that's a symptom of narcissism. I just stumbled there. That's a symptom of narcissism, is having an inflated ego, an ego that doesn't really match the things that person has done in their life or the attributes that they actually have, right? That's me thinking I'm Bella Hadid, I know Bella Hadid, but in Amberlynn's mind, she's Bella Hadid, but her body doesn't fit Bella Hadid, she's as smart as Albert Einstein, but clearly she's not, it's things like that where she's upset that the way she views herself in her mind is not physically there. And that's, yeah, but she also doesn't have enough care about herself. And also I think she's so delusional in her narcissistic beliefs of this inflated ego that she never ends up doing anything to get herself to a point where she could be at her goal weight. She could be, healthier or prettier, I don't know. It's very interesting. I know I always say that, but it is very interesting.
Many years since she started her channel, that she could have reached that goal in a healthy way, including any slip-ups along the way by now, if she had really wanted to. I think what upset her most was not looking how she wanted to. Health was not the priority at all. Her career on YouTube was much more important than her health, and she said as much multiple times. If she were to lose weight or not be a train wreck, she wouldn't have as many viewers, and that was the most important thing to her, more than any concern for herself, those around her, or anything else. Nothing changed after her diagnosis.
I mean, yeah, nothing changed. Amberlynn, first off, she went on to gain weight before getting a full hysterectomy. That is crazy. She was supposed to lose weight and she went on to gain weight. Okay, so that really already showed where her mind was at with cancer and the fact that she was not taking it as seriously as she should. She then, after the hysterectomy, went on to go almost back to her highest known weight, which was 572.4. Hate that I know that. And then lost a little bit of weight, and is now like still sitting at and gaining at 511 pounds. Like, yeah, of course she did. Like, cancer was nothing to her. She got taken out and she's like, all right, I'm done. Like, I can continue to do whatever I want.
That Amberlynn tends to chameleon herself to be just like the people around her, especially her partners, whether it being towards you or maybe when she was around Destiny/Dana, Jade, or her mom. One of the most fascinating things about Amber is her recording herself morphing into different Lynns.
This is actually such a good question. Michaela 9818. Damn, that was a really good question. I'm very interested in hearing this.
Did you notice that? I noticed it, and I don't notice anything.
I did notice that, and so did everyone around her. That was something that I brought up.
And so did the audience. Like, again, Amberlynn thinks that she's slick, but like everyone sees what's going on.
Multiple times, and so did her friends. When we confronted her, she would say that she didn't realize that she was even doing it and that it wasn't on purpose. I always thought it was her way of trying to fit in with the people around her. I don't think she has ever truly been confident in her.
Here's the thing. I do think it is that way. I think one, she's super she likes to, like, in certain ways she has an inflated ego, right? Like, she perceives herself as much better than she is. But on another like level of it, narcissists are actually super insecure, right? Like, and that's why they have this inflated like ego and inflated sense of self, is because deep down in the core of it, they are insanely what do you call it? They have an insane low self-esteem, right? Like, they don't actually like the person that they are. They don't actually have any confidence. And so it's like this mask that narcissists put on, right? But it's interesting because, yeah, I don't think Amberlynn actually knows how to like connect with people on a deep level. And so her way of connecting with people is stealing their personalities. And it's like, you see this in psychopaths and sociopaths, is that like the reason that a lot of that psychopaths and sociopaths are very charming in the beginning is like because oftentimes they will take personality traits from the person that they're mirroring. And of course, when we see people that have same interests as us or behave in a similar way as us, like, we get intrigued, right? We're like, oh, this person understands me on a deep level because, and they see the world like me. So like you can connect on a deeper level, you know, but it's all fake. And that's why Amberlynn's relationships never end up lasting very long, because you can only fake having similar interests and a similar personality to someone for so long. Like, those things will, over time, and very quickly, in my opinion, will like show that it's very superficial. Like, you can't pretend to like deeply think like a person if you don't deeply think like a person. If you don't genuinely have those thoughts, it will come through that you're just putting on a personality. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's Amberlynn. I think this is an example of Amberlynn kind of having sociopathic in like disorder of some sort, is that like she doesn't know how to really connect with people and really like maintain a relationship. So she literally pretends to have the same personality.
Self for in her own interests enough to just be herself around people. Or maybe she knew that who she really wasn't as likable as the people she wanted to befriend. So
also, sorry to pause a lot, but also I don't think Amberlynn really has interests. And that's another thing, is like Amberlynn's interests kind of end at coloring and putting Legos together, and like thinking that liking dinosaurs is a trait, you know, but like also doesn't know anything about dinosaurs, just likes dinosaurs, you know. Like, I had this one friend in elementary school who was obsessed with dinosaurs. Like, that was his entire personality. But the motherfucker, this like literally like 5th grader, knew everything about dinosaurs, knew every single like full name, knew their habitat, like what they did, what they ate, blah, 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 like just like way beyond what you would think a 5th grader would know, because that they genuinely liked dinosaurs. They were very interested in this. Amberlynn just is like, I like dinosaurs, I'm a girl, quirky. And it's like, that's it. But like, Amberlynn doesn't really have interests, and she doesn't have interests that would really connect her with other people her age. What other 34-year-old or late 20-year-old do you know is sitting there coloring, playing Legos? Like, real talk. Like, sure, that might be something that someone does on the side every once in a while. Like, my sister likes Legos. She's 34. She likes Legos, but that's something that her and her fiance do as a cute little date night. You know, like, that's on top of her having a whole ass life and like a lot of other interests, and that just happens to be a little thing that she does and like she likes. It's interesting, but like for Amberlynn, that's the end of her interest, is Legos, coloring, sitting in bed and watching TV. Like, and I think that like to some level she's aware that like no one else is really gonna connect with her for that. Like, that's not a normal thing for like someone her age to be interested in. Like, I know literal toddlers that have more personality than Amberlynn.
It was easier to act like them than to be judged or scrutinized for her own personality and behavior. I think it's important to find people who like you for who you are, but I think she didn't feel like that was possible, so she had to be someone else with everyone. If she had just been herself, she could have formed real friendships a long time ago and been actually working on herself and improving all this time.
She always tries to change.
But that's the thing, is like, I don't think at this point in Amberlynn's life, Amberlynn is capable of that. We've seen it at least for the past 11 years. And it's really enlightening to watch the Ankles retro reacts right now. Amberlynn does not know how to interact with people because she does not have a personality. She's super awkward. She kind of sits on the sidelines. She just like lets life pass her by. People really clock her very fast about not liking her personality. It's very interesting. And we saw that through the Crystal era too. Like, her family did not really fuck with Amberlynn. Her family, like when they would get together or have parties and stuff, like everyone would be kikiing with each other. And then there's Amberlynn, who would like try to be a part of it, but like people didn't like her, you know? And I think Amberlynn kind of knows that. And so her like thought was then, instead of like figuring out what is it about me that people find off-putting, it was just to like put a mask on.
But she always comes across as a douche. Doesn't matter which personality she picks. It's douche, 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 douche.
Exactly. It's not like Amberlynn, again, because like I feel like Amberlynn, I just have a feeling Amberlynn's gonna like eventually grab onto the autistic diagnoses. But like, it's not like, I know a lot of people with autism, including myself. As a kid and like young adult, I really struggled with finding friends. I mean, I always had my like core group of friends, and like I've had my core group of friends for like years and years and years now. But like when you're like a kid and like growing up, like the neurotypical kids like very quickly like can tell neurotypical people in general like can tell when like something's a little off about you, and I think people get scared of that. So like I would always end up being friends with the other neurodivergent people, right? That's just like a very common thing. I think even in adulthood, a lot of neurodivergent people will also I know this because this is what my friends say, but like let me know if you agree. Like a lot of neurodivergent people tend to gravitate towards other neurodivergent people because you don't have to explain yourself as much. You kind of don't have to like explain your little bit of quirks of how you like exist in a very neurotypical world when you're around other neurodivergent people. For Amberlynn though, it's like, it's not that like she's quirky, it's that like she's an asshole. Like she could be like the most normal, like have no diagnoses, but like her personality is an asshole. She's rude to people. She's disrespectful to people. She has no care about people's boundaries. Like she's just nasty. And it's interesting. I should put that on a t-shirt. It's interesting.
She needs to get better at that. Did Amber ever admit to lying about a disorder? There's so many examples of her lying about being diagnosed with stuff.
My favorite one is her diagnosis of ASMR. Amberlynn now likes to say like, oh my God, you guys, I was trolling. Amberlynn at the time that she posted that had no idea what trolling was. She didn't have an audience, you guys. Like she had like maybe 100 people following her at that point. She did not know what trolling was. That wasn't a thing on the internet that people really talked about at that point. Like Amberlynn genuinely thought she could be diagnosed with ASMR. That's my favorite diagnosis. But I'm guessing, to be honest, like again, I think we said this a few videos ago, but like Amberlynn isn't going to be telling Beck too much about her lies, because I don't think Amberlynn wants anyone to have anything over Amberlynn or have any like true insight to Amberlynn. And I think the insight that people get of Amberlynn isn't of what Amberlynn overtly says, but the way Amberlynn is and the way Amberlynn acts, not realizing the way that it comes across. You know what I mean?
She never admitted to lying about a disorder, but I think that's because she genuinely believes that she has every single one
Also
that
that.
she says she has. She would self-diagnose constantly based on how she felt and a few Google searches. She was
Dude, we fucking knew it. It's all self-diagnoses. It's literally all self-diagnosis. There's no way that the amount of things that she claims to have been diagnosed with in the past like 7 years could be diagnosed as fast as they were. Like, yeah, it's all self-diagnoses, which people have been saying. Like, I'm sure for mental health, I'm sure for physical health, it's all diagnoses. She puts that shit into WebMD and like comes out with like the best known thing. Like, I'm having a headache. Oh, you guys, I just found out like I have an aneurysm, just waiting for it to burst. Like, it's just like, yeah. Ugh. So validating, because we all knew it.
Constantly worried about every symptom she had,
Yeah.
so she would always come up with a diagnosis on her own for each one. It's a bad habit and not a good way to find out what's really going on with you. She would go to the ER so often, but rarely or never go to a primary care physician, OBGYN, psychologist, or therapist who could have been much more helpful. And as we know...
You know why? Because Amberlynn likes to have the attention and this like urgency around her, which is what you have usually in an ER, what Amberlynn expects to have in an ER, but like that's not going to happen if there's nothing actually wrong with you. But she craves this like all of the attention on her, all these tests being run on her, people caring and being like, oh, what is wrong with her? Like, we have to treat her. Like, are you above? You know, like that's what she craves. And when you go to a therapist or a primary care physician, whatever, the process is much slower, right? Because it's long-term care. So like, you're not going to have this like worrisome, you're not going to have this like fawning over you. It's going to be like, here's things that you can do, here's things that I can do, but it's going to be a lot of work on you, right? It's going to be, if you want help with this, you have to take these actions. And in the ER, it's very much like, we're going to take care of you. But that's because that's for people like in traumas or like who are having heart attacks or like having like serious fucking things going on, and like they can't take care of themselves. They can't afford to wait a day and go to their primary care physician, you know, like it's like a do or die situation. And Amberlynn was, other than when she was bleeding out, was never in that situation, but craved to be treated like she was in that situation.
Would go see those doctors. It would just be a few times before she would never go again.
Yep.
Amber's accused you of not allowing her to explore her bisexuality.
This was, honestly, this whole arc was so heinous. Like, it was absolutely disgusting of Amberlynn, and I don't feel like Amberlynn got enough shit for it. To blame someone else for you not exploring your sexuality is, like, it's just gross to me. Like, it's really, really gross to me. To blame someone else is, like, that's in your control for the most part. And obviously there's extenuating circumstances where your life is in danger, your familial connections are in danger. And we have that happening all around the world, where people are not able to express themselves and be who they are because of like worries like that. But Amberlynn was not in that situation. Amberlynn was dating another queer individual, and like it was just a way for Amberlynn to like once again frame Beck as this like horrific individual that wouldn't let her be bisexual. Amberlynn, for her entire channel, swore up and down she's not bisexual, she's a lesbian, I only like the P, but I'm a lesbian, I am a lesbian, I like the B, I like it's literally Amberlynn's like only like personality trait, you know, like, and it's just annoying. It's really annoying because people would constantly bring up, like, it seems like you like guys too, like on her channel. And she's like, no, that's so rude. You're devaluing. I'm a lesbian. How dare you say that? And then Jade comes in, who's bisexual and not a polygamist. What is the word called? Whatever. Who dates multiple people at a time. And suddenly it was like Amberlynn taking this personality trait on and being like, I think I'm a bisexual. I think, you know, like I had a crush on Eric. I actually kind of like guys. And like now is back to, oh, I would never go towards penises. Like I only like lesbians. I'm 100% a lesbian. I can't even believe people would question that. Like it's so gross when guys like assume that, and it is gross when guys say that to openly like lesbian women. Like it's fucking weird. But it's like, Amberlynn, you can't even keep up with your own shit, like with your own sexuality, because that's changing just like your personality. That's fucking weird, bro. Also, not to say you can't change your sexuality. Obviously, people like it, not that like it's a choice, but like as you get older, sometimes things become more like obvious to you. You become more aware of the way that you feel towards other people and your sexuality. But like Amberlynn goes back and forth, you know, like based on like who she's dating, whether she's like bisexual or a lesbian, you know, like it's like changing like the time, and like that is like fishy to me.
Also prevent you from expressing your desire to be. See my little Jupiter's Delight smile? It's because it's coming up in a video.
When is the...
Wow.
When is that?
She seems very upset by the implication that she would date anyone that isn't expressive.
Yes.
Expressly she, her.
Yes.
Well,
she gets so pissy when anyone even hints to the fact that, hey, it kind of appears like you like guys too, which is fine. I'm bisexual. Like, actually, I'd say I'm pansexual. I'm just, if I like the person, I like the person. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting. It's very interesting to me. Like, now, like, Amberlynn is on the, like, I would never date anyone that's not a female.
With Amber, she would be very defensive anytime I'd try to ask her if she may be bisexual. She would say no and accuse me of trying to label her or change who she was. I'd ask about it because she would talk a lot about being with guys, the incident at the movie theater, and about other things she did. It was okay to talk about.
It's so worse. First off, why are you talking about that with your partner? Like, I get it coming up, like, once and being like, oh yeah, this is something that happened, especially like when you first start dating, like seriously, like those things come up. But like to bring it up more than once is like bizarre to me. Why are you talking about that with your partner? Why are you talking about other sexual experiences that frequently? And the same one, bro. And also like they were brothers and shit. Like that's fucking weird. Also, it's a federal offense to be having sexual anything in a movie theater. So that's weird in itself. But like, yeah, what? I really think like Amber like brings those things up because she thinks it makes her look desired, or that like she's like some cute little tiny porn star kind of thing. Ooh, am I gonna do... I don't know, am I allowed to say that? But like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I did like 2 hand things with 2 guys. Like, look at me. Like, I'm just so desired. 2 guys wanted me at the same time. And it's just like, ew. Like, it's once again this like Amberlynn's need for desire and to like show other people that she's desired. Tragic.
But it felt odd to me just how often it was brought up. I think back on it now, and I do think that she might have said those things so often to get some kind of reaction out of me. Maybe to see if I get jealous about it. I do understand being confused.
Yeah, I can also see that because like we know that Beck and Amber were not getting it on like at all. I don't know if they ever got it on or if it was like literally less than one hand amount of times, you know, like, but I think part of that was due to the fact that Beck probably was declining because Amberlynn was not hygienic. So I wouldn't want to be doing anything with someone that's not hygienic either. Also, there's just like no romantic feelings, I think, on either side. But I think that was a way for Amberlynn to be like, see, like, all these people want me, like, don't you want this kind of thing? And it's like, not really. Like, you want to go give two guys a handy again in the movie theater, go for it. Like, but I can see that being like Amberlynn's tactic to like make Beck jealous and like make herself appear like wanted, so like Beck will want her. I don't know.
About your identity and wanting to explore that, but I was never really given that opportunity to support her or to allow her to explore that part of her. We didn't talk more about it because she was so adamant that she only liked women and would shut me down anytime I asked about possibly being bi. I think it did affect me in a way, especially after the
also like I remember like during the live stream era, several of the live stream eras, like people would bring it up and she'd be so pissy about it. Like, no, how could you say that? You're devaluing me. You're saying I'm not a lesbian. It's like, okay.
Breakup, and when she opened up more about it while with Jade. Jade was bisexual and poly, and Amber started to explore that more with Jade. At some point, and I've admitted this before.
What does that mean, to explore that? You think Amberlynn tried it with a dude? I don't want to think about it.
I let myself feel a little bit like if I were to be with a bi woman, she would eventually leave me for a man. That was an awful way of thinking and really pushed an awful stereotype as well as erasing the experience of bi individuals. I hate that I let myself have those thoughts. And I'm so sorry to anyone who may have noticed that I felt that way and were hurt by it. It was an awful way to view things. I've worked really hard to no longer have that type of bias anymore. I understand now that my experiences have nothing to do with bisexual women as a whole, and my experiences should never affect my expectations of others in the future. As for my experience as a non-binary person,
I really appreciate that actually, because I do remember that happening and Beck saying that they have like problems because they dated someone who's bisexual and Beck's partner left her like them for a man. And that really like traumatized Beck. And they went on to like have this feeling that like if they ever dated someone that was bisexual again, like that would happen. That like, and it gave this like feeling of like bisexual women are only with women until they can find a man. And that's just not the case. And I do remember people being very upset by that. I remember I was very upset by that. I really disliked that. It really gave me a bad taste in that way towards Beck. And I'm glad that they're taking accountability on how that came across and that like that's not an okay way to think about a group of people. Like to act like, you know, like bisexual women are just like using other women until they can find men is just like such a disgusting thought and like stereotype that still like many bisexual women deal with, and it's really sad. But yeah, I really appreciate that accountability. That, Amberlynn, that's what it looks like to take accountability. So take note.
With Amber, I did bring it up a few times in our relationship. The only response I got was always, I don't know, you seem like a woman to me. It took me saying something publicly in a video recently.
That's very interesting. First off, absolutely disgusting of Amberlynn to say that. Like, how dismissive, you're a piece of shit. But very interesting because the same thing happened with Casey. When Casey came out and told Amberlynn, I feel like a man, I think I'm transgender, Amberlynn would not accept it. Would refuse to accept that that's how they felt, refuse to use his appropriate pronouns, like would say, no, you're a woman, I don't date men, like made it all about Amberlynn. And it's the same thing. Like this is a pattern that we're seeing. This is so sad. Like this is how we know these things aren't lies, because we're seeing a pattern of behavior. Like there's no way that two people who have never met in their life have the same story about this person. That is really sad. Also, I'm glad Beck is with someone that actually respects them and respects who they are and their identity. Amberlynn, you're nasty. And it's interesting because the reason that she gets so upset when any of her partners have these realizations about their identity is because, again, Amberlynn uses her being a lesbian as a personality trait, like as this like interesting quirky thing about Amberlynn, and like it's somehow gonna like diminish Amberlynn's uniqueness if she is then dating a person that identifies as a man. Oh well, now I'm straight kind of thing. It's like someone else's identity has nothing to do with you. You have no say in that person having that identity and feeling that way. So like for Amberlynn to pretty much straight up tell Casey that they're not allowed to feel the way that they felt and like not allowed to feel like transition into a man and live their life as the man that they feel because Amberlynn dates women. And then to go on and tell Beck that they look like a woman, they seem like a woman, so too bad for you. I'm going to devalue any feeling that you have is like psychotic behavior as usual.
I her to respect my pronouns and name. So I don't think that if I'd come out at that time that she would have respected that decision.
She wouldn't have.
What was the worst argument?
Also, yeah, the only reason that Amberlynn is now respecting Beck's name and pronouns because when they initially came out with their pronouns and name, Amberlynn continued to call Beck by their I don't know if you would call it a dead name, but like by their, I'll just use that terminology for now, by their dead name, and continued to use the incorrect pronouns. And it wasn't until I think this latest video, or maybe a video before, where they actually used all of the correct pronoun and like naming. And that's, I think, also a manipulation tactic. Because again, it's to make it seem like, oh, see, I've grown. I'm like a better person now. But it's all manipulation.
I got into it. I'm sure it's all just molded into one horrible heap.
Pronouns and name. So I don't think that if I'd come out at that time that she would have respected that decision.
What was the worst argument you and Amber got into? I'm sure it's all just molded into one horrible heap. But does anything stand out?
You're right. There was so much fighting that it has all melted together in my memory, and they were all really difficult. It's hard to pick out just one.
Okay, not to be about me, but it's about me right now. Ponyo, one of my great friends, and also coworker. That's how we met and became great friends. But whenever we would we'd always open the coffee shop that we both worked at. We'd always put Ponyo's soundtrack on. Oh, it's so beautiful in the morning as the sun is rising. Oh my God, you guys. It was so nice. Okay, anyways.
I think the arguments that stand out the most for me are the ones where I got so overwhelmed that I had to leave the house and get away. Aww. One time, Amber, Eric, Ricky, and I were watching Adventure Time, and Eric changed the channel without asking. Amber, even though she did not like Adventure Time, and even though it was Eric's TV, had a huge blow up. I'd had enough, and I left without grabbing my wallet, my bra, or shoes. I drove an hour to my sister's and showed up at her doorstep barefoot and crying. I just wanted to escape.
What was the day of the week?
First off, what could Amberlynn possibly be upset about? Like, how can you have a huge blow up about something like that? She was like in her late 20s at that point, living with Eric and Ricky and Beck. So what, is she like having a full tantrum because the channel change? If you wanted to watch, just be like, hey, do you mind if we finish this episode that we can change it? Like, how could you make a huge blowout? Like, I genuinely don't understand how you can make a huge deal out of that. To the point that your significant other literally dropped everything, got into their car, and like drove to their sister's house. That is insane.
Broke up live stream like? Great question. What was the pre-live stream, and more importantly, what was the post-live stream like? Yeah. Good question. You know, I don't think about these things.
That's a good question.
The live stream itself was so uncomfortable, with ALR just staring off into the distance and making Beck do all the talking and responding to the chat. What was the rest of the day like? Yeah.
Dude, the day of the We Broke Up live stream was really stressful. She spent the day asking me if I was sure about my decision, guilting me about how she wasn't sure what she would do with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't want to wipe your ass anymore and be financially, verbally, emotionally abused. Yep. Yeah, I think, yep, reconsider it one more time. Not it. I don't want to smell your stinky ass anymore and be trapped in a house taking care of you. Not interested.
Me trying her hardest to make me feel awful. I wouldn't be there to take care of her
anymore. Yeah, I mean, Amberlynn, the entire live, the breakup live, was sitting there crying, not looking at Beck, saying Beck should feel like a piece of shit for breaking up with them, like made it like, was like, I'm never gonna date anyone ever again, like just the whole thing was guilt trip. It was so uncomfortable to watch, and Beck's like sitting there like it's just like,
and that's what she was most affected by. During that live stream and the following ones, it was obvious to me that she was trying to insult me and put me down to the audience. She really thought she was being clever. I knew I had to be there until I could get my things to move out, and with the promise of being paid monthly to help me get back on my feet, I tried to keep things amicable. I did try to clap back a few times, though. For over a week,
honestly, to be honest, this is when we started seeing, during the live stream era, the breakup live stream era, that's when we really started seeing Beck's personality start to come out, and Beck was starting to like not take Amberlynn's bullshit anymore. I remember this, and they would clap back at Amberlynn quite a bit. Like, I remember being like, oh damn, okay, Beck's is starting to have a backbone again, you know? But yeah, Amberlynn immediately went into just treating Beck like absolute garbage. I mean, as we all remember during that era, like it was just heinous.
Emotional roller coaster, going from being completely fine to begging for me to come back, then emotionally manipulating me in an effort.
Yeah, because Amberlynn just lost her caretaker. Like, now her ass has got to sit there all stanky and uncleaned. She's smelly. She can no longer dictate what and when and how and whatever Beck has to do. Like, Beck is no longer under your grasp for the most part. Yeah, that probably like terrified Amberlynn. Like, what am I gonna do next? How am I gonna take care of myself? Like, how am I gonna continue to live if I don't have someone doing everything for me? Like, we saw Amberlynn when Beck would be gone for 2 days because Amberlynn was not able to take care of herself. So yeah, I imagine Amberlynn was terrified and pulling every card out of the book to try and get Beck to change their mind. Because for so many years, Amberlynn was able to get Beck to change their mind. Amberlynn was able to stop the breakup from happening. Like Beck told us, they tried to break up with Amberlynn several times and Amberlynn would not allow it. So I'm sure Amberlynn thought, oh, well, this is just another time I have to get it. And then when they went on to live stream, I think it was a way for Amberlynn to embarrass Beck and to like essentially hoping to be like to publicly shame Beck and to have Amberlynn's audience come and publicly shame Beck. And when that didn't happen, I bet you that Amberlynn started freaking out more, that people were on Beck's side and being like, I'm so happy you got out of this situation. Good for you. The outpour of support for Beck was like crazy at this point. People were sending in super chats just for Beck so that they could have money. Like, yeah, I'm sure all of this just made Amberlynn fucking spiral.
To get me to rethink my decision, and then being angry at me. Once Jade came into the picture, all manipulation toward getting me back ended, and there were no longer any moments of being nice to me. Everything became about rubbing this new relationship in my face and making sure I knew how quickly she had moved on.
And it's crazy because that's what everyone was saying. Again, so it's like, it's very validating to hear this coming from Beck, because when Jade came in, it was, I've never had any support like this ever before. I've never had anyone care about my weight loss like this before. I've never ever had anyone do all the things that Jade has done for me. I've never felt so supported in my life. Meanwhile, Becca's sitting like in the corner like, bitch, I've been wiping your ass and begging you to care for yourself for 4 fucking years. Like, it was all about how Jade was just this amazing person. Jade has a job. Jade pays for things. I haven't had that in so long. Like, bringing Beck down. Meanwhile, Beck multiple times for years was saying, I will get a job, asking Amberlynn to get a job, and Beck and Amberlynn being like, no, you can't get a job. I want to be the breadwinner, because that was her way of having control over Beck. It's just like Amberlynn is a vile individual.
Making the split up as hard for me as it could possibly be. She treated Jade much better than she'd ever treated me, and she made sure that I saw that.
I like this one. Thank you so much, Beck, for speaking out against narcissistic abusers. It helped me recognize a lot of similarities in the way one of my family members treats the rest of us. Families, man. Oh, don't get me started. And it enabled me...
I honestly think a lot more people are narcissists than we realize, especially... Sorry for the older generation that's watching me, but this is like a study that's come out that like the boomer generation, especially like in America, it has a high level of sociopathic individuals. Like, that whole generation is like really fucked in the head because of like just like the way things were during the society, the way their parents treated them, this like also the booming of the economy and like kind of society in general, and everyone was like doing well, and this like false like perception that they somehow did something good to like be successful when like that's not what happened. So like I think like And it's interesting because we see this, like, a lot of like Gen X, millennial, and Gen Z individuals who have to deal with parents that are in the older generation, like really seeing the narcissistic and sociopathic tendencies of their parents or grandparents and like not wanting anything to do with it. I'm really glad that this stuff is being talked about. But yeah, I think like narcissism and like sociopaths and like psychopaths or whatever, well, not maybe psychopaths so much, but sociopaths, is like much more prevalent than we really realize in our daily lives. And I love that it's being called out more. And I love that people like Beck are sharing their stories. You see it a lot nowadays of people sharing their stories, living or growing up with a narcissistic abuser or a sociopath. I'm really happy about it.
Start doing my own research on how to handle the situation. I have a question based on my own experience with that family member. Did Amber ever ridicule you or generally make you feel bad for the things you enjoy, like drawing, video games, or watching certain shows? If so, do you think she did that to make herself feel better or as a way of exerting control over you?
I mean, first off, it might not have been overt, but Amberlynn would always like kind of like a downplay Amberlynn or Beck's interests and like kind of like on an undertone be making fun of them. Like it wasn't like overt like haha you like this, like you're a loser, but it was like, oh, like Beck's doing her little drawings, or Beck's like obsessed with ghosts, or like it was always this like undertone of like making fun of and like kind of downplaying their interests. I mean, she also did the same thing with Crystal, would constantly make fun of Crystal for liking anime or Guitar Hero, would make fun of Destiny for liking Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, Amberlynn always does that. And I honestly think it comes from a level of like jealousy that all her partners had things that they were genuinely passionate about and like really knew about a lot and really enjoyed. And Amberlynn doesn't have that. Like the things that she claims to be interested in, she like knows nothing about, you know? Like, and again, like we talked about, her interests are like not, they're not something that like anyone her age could like really bond over. It's like, and it's very superficial interests.
I'm so happy that I can help empower others to speak up on similar experiences. I also really like to hear that it's helpful in recognizing this kind of behavior in others' lives. I appreciate everyone who tells their stories and who just supports or watches in general. Thank you, Zalaris4144. So she did make mean remarks about the way I dressed and the way I decorated. Otherwise, she didn't actively put down my interest, often outside of random comments here and there. I think that's because she just showed no interest in anything I liked, was doing, or enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, first off, yes, Amberlynn would constantly talk and like degrade the way that Beck dressed and decorated. But also like, I don't think Beck is fully remembering, like there's videos, like so many videos of Amberlynn like pulling digs at Beck's drawings, Beck's love of the 90s, Beck's love of cartoons, like, and again, these aren't like superficial things. Like Beck knows the like about like the creation of cartoons, like the characters, the like all the intricate things of it, right? Like all these things that like they have interests in, like they know it on a deep level because they really have an interest in it, you know, like, or movies, or like they can like tell you like the director, what year it came out, like where it was located, what blah blah blah, the actors in it. It's like things that like it's clear that they are passionate about these things. And like Amberlynn would constantly diminish those like interests on video. Like we have proof of it.
We're always doing separate things in the same room together.
Amber's probably watching this. Was Amber ever truly concerned about her health, like hygiene, mobility, etc.? Or was it all just an act, wishing the best for you, Beck?
Amber did say that she was concerned for her mobility and that she wanted to be more mobile, but never did anything about it while with me. Yeah. I think that was because her online presence was more important than improving her quality of life.
I also think Amberlynn feigns to care about these things. Like, I think Amberlynn claims that she wants to care about her mobility because of the way people perceive her when she's not mobile. Right? That's why now we hear like about how mobile she is, how she's standing in Target for 2 hours and like she can vlog without being out of breath, and she's going all the time, all around. And she did this during the Destiny era too, about like how like her and Destiny are just always up and going and they're never sitting down. They never have time to relax. Like she cared about her mobility because she knew the way that people perceive her in her big body, and she wanted to lessen that perception. She still wanted to, like, because again, she has a false idea about the way she looks, right? Like, she has a false ego. And so, like, she's trying to match the way that she perceives herself with the way, and like make it so that people on the outside perceive her the way that she perceives herself. But it never works out because, like, we can see you. We can see how much you're able to do. We can see the body that you're in. And like, it just doesn't work out that way. But I think that's why she cared about her mobility.
Like with her health. She wasn't concerned about how that lack of mobility affected me either, and how much work and effort I had to put in to help her due to those things deteriorating. As for her hygiene, she really never brought up concern about it. She would douse herself in perfume sometimes to help any issues, but that's all.
Does that sound familiar, y'all? The whole fucking shelf of perfume she has now? How she's getting a new perfume like every other vlog? Dude, she's not showering. She's not showering. I would bet fucking money. I would bet almost that the only time she is showering is when her mother comes over. I genuinely believe that wholeheartedly.
I won't go into detail about smells or anything too personal, but her hygiene did affect everyone around her, myself, and others' personal belongings, and she did not show concern for any of those things.
It affected other people's personal belongings? Like their couch? Or like when she was free bleeding on the mattress? Or the chairs? Dude, I mean, let's be real. Like, Beck doesn't have to say the words. If Amberlynn's dousing herself in perfume, why do you think she's doing that? Because she smells. Because, like, it's a problem. I mean, I remember when Destiny was talking about after they broke up and, like, doing the whole, like, question Q&As and, like, talking. Destiny literally was told us that her sister, Destiny's sister, asked Destiny, like, did you seriously not smell that? Like, did you seriously, like, not have any real perception of, like, the smell? Like, it was nasty. It was ass, dude. Like, how did you not smell that? And Destiny had gotten so used to it that she no longer was, like, realizing how bad Amberlynn smelled. And also, like, even with her getting so used to Amberlynn smelling and, like, not being hygienic, there were still times that Destiny was saying, like, it smelled like swamp ass. Like, and it's like, I mean, we don't need to really hear that because, like, we can all understand that. Like, we all know what ourselves smell like if we don't shower for a day or two, you know, like, or a few days, you know, like when you're sick and, like, you can't shower for, like, a few days. I've been there, you know, like, I'm not gonna pretend like I have been hygienic at every part of my life, you know, like, we all know what that smells like. We all know. So, like, imagine that on Amberlynn, who has so many folds, is not able realistically to reach every part of her body and clean well and thoroughly, let alone she's not doing that for days on end. Days on end, okay? Like, very interesting, very interesting.
What do you think it will take for Amber to change? Ignore that question. Was Amber aware of feeder content, and do you know if she purposely made content for the feeder community? We love you, Beck. Now it's pretty clear she's making feeder content, but back then, did it ever come up?
Personally, I think being deplatformed would be the only way. I'm not saying I want that to happen. No matter how terrible she's treated me and the number of things she's taken from me, I would never wish the loss of a job, stability, or housing on anyone. I know how devastating that is for anyone. YouTube is how she makes a living. It's how she supports herself, and she uses losing her channel and views as an excuse not to change. The only way she would ever change is if it were her only option. So I don't see that ever happening. To answer the second question, Amber never admitted to me that she catered to feeders when deciding on...
Sorry, I had an alarm set and I just turned that off. Okay.
I don't see that ever happening. To answer the second question,
here's the thing. I don't think Amberlynn would change at all being deplatformed, honestly. I do think she should be deplatformed for the behavior and actions that she's done. However, I don't think that would lead to her changing. Like, I think she would continue to do the same old. She'd go on government assistance or something like that. The girl cannot work. She can't go get a real job. She has no way of getting to it. She has no skills. She has nothing to offer. Low key. So yeah. I also like, I understand Beck saying that they don't wish for her to be deplatformed and that they don't want her to lose stability. And to an extent, like on a human level, yeah, I don't wish that on anyone. But I think Amberlynn, like, it's kind of like when you make your bed and you gotta lay in it kind of thing. And Amberlynn has made her bed and has like kind of ruined her ability to have any like, I don't know, like any positive outcome on YouTube at this point. And I feel like they don't deserve it at this point. They like, I feel like she's ruined it for herself. And I don't think it's fair that someone like Amberlynn is able to make the amount of money that she does with the less than bare minimum effort that she puts in. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, am I gonna wish for her downfall in it? No, but I don't think I have to for it to happen. I think we're watching the downfall happen. I think inevitably justice always comes. That's just the truth on how our world works. It might take a long time, but the truth and justice always prevails. And we're kind of seeing it happen now with Amberlynn. Also, Destiny is coming back out of the woodwork to expose more. Alexis just posted a video exposing Amberlynn. Apparently Destiny is trying to get into contact with Libby and talk about that whole situation. Libby's like 24, 25 now. So like, it's going to be really interesting to see if she is able to get in contact with Libby, Libby's kind of perception on the situation and how they view it now, as opposed to when they were like 15, 16 years old, hanging out with a 25-year-old Amberlynn. So yeah, like I think justice and the truth is already started happening for Amberlynn, and that honestly is the worst thing that could happen for Amberlynn. So we're watching the downfall. We don't have to wish for it. We're watching it happen.
Never admitted to me that she catered to feeders when deciding on her content or thumbnails.
Yeah, and to be honest, Amberlynn never would, because again, like that would make Amberlynn look stupid, and Amberlynn won't allow that, even to their partner, because Amberlynn, even to her partners, is having a mask, is putting on a show.
She did tell me that she would do mukbangs because they got views, and would use thumbnails showing herself eating for the same reason. Knowing how often she read through her comments and looked at anything online related to her, I can't imagine that she wasn't aware of what she was doing. It definitely felt like feeder content, but whether she made anything outside of YouTube for that purpose or talked to anyone about feederism specifically, she never mentioned.
Does Beck know anything about Amber's falling out with Crystal? Actually, that is a good question. Yeah, tried, babe.
Y'all have to go to the bathroom. Cut this out, Sabbath.
It's like she does with all her exes, and then it stops.
From what I witnessed, Amber very frequently reached out to Crystal. When Crystal got into a relationship with Nina, Amber was not a fan of having to share Crystal's time and attention with someone else, even though she was the one to introduce them to each other. Amber talked bad about Nina.
Also, Crystal's not yours anymore, Amberlynn. Like, what the hell? Like, they have a girlfriend. Why? Of course they're gonna talk more to their girlfriend than you. Like, also, let's be real. It was very obvious Crystal did not like Amberlynn, at least the last like year and a half. And Crystal was not interested in Amberlynn. The reason they broke up is literally because Crystal fell out of love with Amberlynn, was not attracted to Amberlynn. Like, girl, what?
A lot to Crystal in an attempt to split them up. When I told her to leave them alone, Amber made it seem like she was just parroting things I'd told her about my own experience with Nina and doing it to defend Crystal and to defend me and what happened in my relationship with Nina. I didn't want those things to come between them. What happened with Nina and I was unrelated, and I won't talk more about that experience because it doesn't compare to how Amber treated me at all. Eventually, Crystal got fed up and cut Amber off, understandably.
Hi, Beck. When you both...
Damn! And that's interesting because we never heard... I remember when Nina and Crystal first started dating... Amberlynn had them come, like Amberlynn went to Virginia, and then Crystal and Nina came back with Amberlynn to Kentucky and stayed. This was in the apartment that Destiny and her got together. At this point, I believe Destiny and her were broken up. They came and stayed with Amberlynn for a few days. and they like drank a lot, and Amberlynn looked stupid. But I remember all of that happening, like, and Amberlynn made it seem like, oh yeah, her and Crystal are just like best friends. Meanwhile, like, Crystal was like over Amberlynn at that point. It was like getting fed up with Amberlynn. And then we never heard it. Like, I think even through the Beck era, Amberlynn would make it seem like they were like just BFFs. Like, her and Crystal were just like soulmates. That's what Amberlynn loved to say, is like they're soulmates, but like on a friend level. Like, Crystal did not fuck with Amberlynn, and you could tell. Like, they were not soulmates. But that's so interesting. Like, just the things Amberlynn lies about, and like the story that she spins, because I think that like a lot of Amberlynn's YouTube channel is like cultivating a life that she wishes for herself. Like, she's trying to give off the life that she wishes she had.
Live together. Did she ever sit outside? How come she never goes outside, even to just sit out there? Did you get bored with being inside with her a lot of the time? I remember watching a clip from that era.
I remember, hold on one second, Mr. Snowflake. But I remember that era. And Amberlynn would be like shocked to see flowers outside of like the house, and be like, oh my gosh, there's like this tree and this flower, and like was just like shocked to see like things that like if a person was going out every day, like would know about. I'm not saying that you can't marvel at the beauty of nature. I do that every day. But like, I'm not shocked to see a certain flower or something, like, because I go out every day. I can see when new things pop up every day, kind of thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, Amberlynn was not going out. And like the few times that she did, like Amberlynn would force Beck to go and sit outside with her, and she would sit out there for like 10 minutes and then go back inside. Like, it was really such a miserable life.
In one video, well, only one video, where I was like, oh, it's nice to just sit outside. I think that was her at her heaviest.
Yeah.
So yeah, did she ever go outside? Did you get sick of being inside all the time?
She would sometimes sit outside on the front steps, but not often at all. She usually just stayed in the bedroom and on the bed. I did get really tired of those four walls, and it really contributed to my depression. I think the reason she didn't go out more often was likely due to mobility, but also just her being content with her laptop, phone, and everything else being taken care of for her.
Yeah.
Did you believe?
Can you imagine the rank smell that room had? And there were fans like those heavy duty fans. So like that rank smell was just being blown into your face. Girl, I can't. Poor Beck, dude. Poor fucking Beck. Also, yeah, like Amberlynn essentially trapped her and Beck into like a fucking insane asylum room. Like, dude, how Beck didn't go crazier is beyond me.
Amber's hugely.
I was also gonna say, the reason I think Amberlynn was also very depressed during that time, which makes sense. Like, one, you're not doing anything, and also she was at her heaviest at that point. But I don't think Amberlynn went as crazy, because Amberlynn's very simple-minded, so like it doesn't take much for Amberlynn to like be satisfied. But like Beck's like has a normal cognition level, so like anyone with like a normal cognitive ability is like gonna go fucking crazy sitting in a room all day every day. Like, people need more stimuli. Amberlynn's simple though, so she doesn't.
Of mental disorders she said she was diagnosed with before. She met you. She said she was diagnosed with ASMR. Before she started YouTube, she did a post saying, I've been diagnosed with ASMR. So she lies about that stuff.
Yeah.
Did you believe everything?
No, I knew that everything she'd mentioned being diagnosed with were all self-diagnosed. There was never any...
She lies about that stuff. Did you believe everything?
No, I knew that
My fiance drew this one because we are watching Severance right now. Have you seen it? It's a really good show. I have not, but... Damn, your fiance can draw too. The fuck? This is a painting? Damn, that's kind of cute that y'all both can draw.
Everything she'd mentioned being diagnosed with were all self-diagnosed. There was never any confirmation that I knew of for anything she'd mentioned having aside from cancer.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Amber stealing Casey? Oh, okay, there you go, Casey. Stealing Casey's coming out story. Did Amber tell you anything similar while with you? Cheers, Beck. In case you don't know, Casey told YouTube their coming out story. Amber had the exact same, word for word, the exact same coming out story. So bizarre. How bizarre.
Weird.
I know that I asked Amber about her.
And what's even weirder is that Amberlynn got her mom to like kind of play along with it. Like Amberlynn's mom hasn't said too much, but she did say like, "Oh yeah, I found a note in your pants pocket" or something like that. And that's the extent of what Mama Lynn has said, which I have a feeling because I don't believe it. That was very much Casey's story. I think Amberlynn was like, "Just say this, like, please just say this for me." And like, but I don't think Mama Lynn will ever go too in depth because like it's a lie, you know?
Sorry, but I think she kept it vague. She said that she always knew she liked women and that her dad didn't take it well. I had to go back and watch that Equals video on Amber's coming out story to see what stories she told YouTube. I don't remember her telling me anything about a note or anything else in that video. But no, I'm really never surprised to hear about Amber lying about anything.
Oh gosh, I'm really...
Okay, so then that definitely didn't happen, because why would you not tell your partner, your queer partner, your coming out story? Like, why would it be a vague story? Like, that would be something that like I would be the most in depth with my partner about, not to my audience. Like, Amberlynn's crazy, y'all. Did y'all know Amberlynn's crazy?
There are already so many questions, but here's mine. You made the cut, well done. You recently said that Amber used to be so mean to her mom, that she would make her cry. Did Amber ever make you cry in front of her? And what was Amber's response to seeing you and or her?
Wait, I didn't know this. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I do not remember this. Can y'all remind me in the comments below about that? That doesn't surprise me though. I mean, we see the way Amberlynn talks to Mama Lynn. We see the shit Amberlynn constantly brings up to Mama Lynn. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Amberlynn at every moment tries, like, makes it known that Mama Lynn was a piece of shit mother. That, yeah, she's just not nice to her mother. Like, she's insanely disrespectful. My mom, like, I don't like my mom in a lot of ways, but I would never talk about my mom or to my mom the way that Amberlynn talks to her mom in a freaking audience, in front of an audience. That's crazy to me. It's like, it's just like the level of disrespect is like, I'd get fucking slapped. Like, and also I just would never disrespect my mom in public that way. Like, that's really, it's like, it's just, it's so weird to me.
Mother crying.
Amber made me cry many, many times in front of her. Yeah. For someone who claims to be an empath, she really seemed to enjoy making people angry or pushing someone to their emotional limit based on how often she would do that to me.
We see that on camera. She constantly pushes people's buttons. She constantly digs at people. I remember specifically one instance during the Destiny era when Destiny had gotten tweezers and they were in the kitchen. They were like unpacking their grocery haul. And Amberlynn's like, "Why do you have these tweezers?" And Destiny's like, "What?" And he's like, "Why do you have these tweezers?" And Destiny, like, very clearly frustrated at that point, because like she was just like upset and annoyed with Amberlynn at this point, was like, "I got it because of my one freaking hair, what's like on her chin or whatever," which, like, girl, I have two. I gotta be plucking it too. It's one black thick hair. But and it was a way for Amberlynn to like poke and dig at Destiny, who clearly was like already annoyed. And I'm sure like Amberlynn was probably poking fun at Destiny for having to do that, and then did it in front of a camera for hundreds of thousands of people to see and react to, trying to humiliate Destiny. And like, it was just like, it's just such a vivid, and there's so many cases of that happening on her channel, but that one specifically stands out to me of like, she does this and she has documented herself doing this. She did this with Crystal all the time, constantly, even with just the filming, like would do it to the point where like Crystal would get so upset and would like yell at Amberlynn and tell her to like fucking stop. Would like, she would start swearing at Amberlynn because she was so frustrated, and like her boundaries continuously being crossed and Amberlynn continuously poking at her. And like, it's like, it's real psychopathic behavior.
And anyone else around her.
Yeah.
Amber's reaction was always to not acknowledge that the emotional response was due to her actions. We were always made to feel like we were exaggerating or that whatever was done to us wasn't a big deal. We just shouldn't be upset with her. She would say that she didn't understand why we were upset. She could never understand why her actions and the things she said could hurt or upset others. I do think she understood, but she just did not care at all. Yeah. If someone upset Amber, though, it was everyone's problem, and there was no such thing as an overreaction.
I mean, this is very enlightening, first off. Like, we all, again, kind of knew that this was happening, but it's very interesting to have it, like, be put out and be like, yeah, this is exactly, like, what you think is going on is exactly what's going on. And, like, the way that you're perceiving Amberlynn treating people in her life now is exactly how you think it's being done. But it's also interesting because Amberlynn even does this with her audience. Like, Amberlynn will be absolutely shitty and disgusting towards her audience. And then when her audience calls her out, like, then it's like, well, everyone has to be understanding of me. Like, you have to be patient with me. You have to care about me. Like, how dare you be mean to me? It's like Amberlynn expects this empathy and understanding from her audience, but has no ability to understand and empathize with her audience and understand why her audience could view things a certain way. It's really interesting. Like, her real life has melded into her social media life, and it's so interesting how, like, it's so very clear. Like, there's no real line to it anymore. Like, she is who she is online and offline at this point.
Would you get to spend by yourself? Like, how often did she expect you to hang in the same room as her versus how often you could have some alone time in another room? Did she control most of your schedule?
I would spend all my time in the same room with her outside of bathroom breaks, and any time I would leave to get food or see my family. There were a lot of times where she would keep me from seeing them all together, but a lot of those times I would go anyway and just decided to deal with the consequences when I got home. Whether I was leaving with or without her permission, there would be a time limit, and while I was gone, I would receive text messages to guilt me saying things like, I wish I wasn't home by myself. During the bad times where I was heavily medicated and depressed, she did spend a lot of time in the dining room where she would do puzzles while I slept. She did control the schedule, though I would sleep when I wanted to, except for all the times she would wake me up in the middle of the night to take care of something for her. When she wanted to fix a sleeping schedule, she would have us stay awake for 24 hours, then crash at 9 p.m. the next day. Then she would stay up late again the next night, or a few nights later anyway, making that entire day of exhaustion for nothing.
That's literally sounds like what, like, abusers will do to their victims, like sleep deprivation shit, so that they're like more. Or you see this in like a bunch of different technique, like areas, like where you're trying to control someone, and like a big way of controlling someone is controlling their sleep. Because, like, if you have a sleep deprived individual, they're a lot more malleable. They're a lot easier to, like, do what you want them to do. I don't know if that was not correct how to say that, but you know what I mean? Like, that's insane. Like, I don't think it had anything to do with Amberlynn trying to fix her sleep schedule, and everything to do with controlling Beck and making them sleep deprived. That's really insane, bro. That's really insane. That whole thing was insane. Like the fact that Beck has to be like, oh, I knew the consequences that were gonna happen to her partner as if they're not two equal adult individuals is, like, in itself so telling that that's the language that they use. Dude, Amberlynn has a special place in hell. Also, we have so much time. I might go faster, y'all, because this is gonna be so long.
Would say she didn't like a meal or was done eating and showed a plate of food with some food left. Would she eat it when the camera was off? She does that now.
I don't remember her ever throwing anything half-eaten away. If we were at a restaurant, she always finished her meal. If she said that she didn't like something, she'd usually eat it anyway, then order something else later.
Right, here we go. In the initial days post-breakup, did Amber try and make you get back together? Didn't think about that one. Or did she ever manipulate you to try and make you feel like you should get back together? Also, when you announced the breakup on stream, did she ever guilt you about it off-screen?
Probably.
Or put it off for long periods of time?
The breakup live stream happened just a day or so after the breakup. I think she spent about 24 hours guilting me offline and trying to change my mind, then couldn't wait to go live and publicly make me feel guilty for my decision once it became clear to her that the guilt trip wasn't working. Even while Amber was dating Jade, she was still saying things to me like, you should feel like crap for dumping me like that, or I can't believe you dumped me like that.
She literally said that on live stream. I remember one of the lives, she's like, she should feel like utter shit that she dumped me, but I don't want her to feel that way, but she should feel that way. It was, like, actually so psychotic. Amberlynn needs fucking inpatient, y'all. Like, this woman needs, like, real inpatient care. I'm not saying she should be locked up for the rest of her life, okay? But I do think that she needs, like, inpatient care for, like, multiple health reasons, mental and physical.
He did.
You are terrible. I mean, trying to get out of an abusive relationship. What were you thinking, Beck? What were you thinking?
For real.
Take accountability. Was your family sad about the breakup like Amber claimed, or were they relieved? Well, I'm assuming after the intervention.
Did Amberlynn claim that Beck's family was sad? Because Beck's family very clearly did not fuck with Amberlynn, like, at all. Like, so that's just a stupid lie.
We're relieved.
My family was so happy. They were only upset that it didn't happen sooner.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they really all felt relieved afterwards.
Hi, Beck. Amber had so many rules and boundaries for what you could and couldn't do. Did you ever put your foot down on any occasion and tell her, no, I'm not doing that again?
Yeah.
I did put my foot down sometimes when it came to seeing my family. That was the most important thing to me, and I deal with the repercussions afterward. There were many times outside of that where I said no, but saying no would always start an argument, no matter what it was that she was asking me to do. The arguments would become so overwhelming and manipulative that I'd almost always end up giving in to her demands.
Beck, what did a typical day with Amberlynn look like when you both moved to the apartment? What did Amberlynn Reid normally wake up? What time did Amberlynn Reid normally wake up, and what was her routine? I'm assuming it was wake up, eat a bunch of crap, and then play Tuesday all day.
Yeah.
Amber would almost always wake up in the afternoon between noon and 3. The minute she woke up, she was on her phone and usually looking at DoorDash, checking socials, YouTube.
Y'all, it's not even fat folk. This woman is a big bag. Can you imagine the first thing you do when you get up is to go on DoorDash? Not to check Instagram, not check your messages, like not check like your email or anything like that. Any notification. No, go to DoorDash. Y'all. I mean, you don't get to be 500 pounds doing skinny girl shit. That's for sure. That's crazy though. That's really crazy. Ugh, Amber.
Etc. The rest of the day always depended on what she was into at the moment, usually doing separate things while in the same room. We did play Choosy at the apartment, but Choosy was played the most often whenever we lived with Eric and Ricky. I've read a lot of comments talking about how...
You know why? Because that was a way for Amberlynn to get Beck away from Eric and Ricky for hours at a time. Because even though, fuck Eric and Ricky, to be honest, at this point, I don't have any sympathy for them. Even though they were like talking shit about Amberlynn and saying like, this is not okay. Like, it was enough of another voice, a voice of reason for Beck to like kind of be like, yeah, this is not okay, right? So like, in order to stop that, it's a classic like isolation tactic, right? It's what literally every abuser does. They isolate their victim from their friends and family so that the only perception that they have of what's normal is what they do between the abuser and the victim, right? Like, it's crazy. And once they moved out, well, then there was no need to do that because Beck wasn't having any like sense being whispered in her ear all the time. Like, she couldn't escape. They couldn't escape to like someone like more sane and like with a voice of reason. Now it was just Amberlynn and Beck trapped in a house together. Oh, Amber literally used it as an abuse tactic, which I know people were saying like, I didn't know this, but you guys let me know in the comments that it's actually from a boy called, I think it's a boy called It, or a child called It, that's literally was used as an abuse tactic. So for Amberlynn to pretend like she doesn't know that, but also claim to have like read that book like hundreds of times and it's her favorite book, is silly. But she literally did use it as an abuse tactic, as a manipulation tactic. That's crazy.
Choosy may have been a way to isolate me and keep me busy doing something meaningless with her for long periods of time. And I think they were right. It didn't leave much time for me to walk away and talk to my friends.
Yeah.
Beck, did you ever sleep in the guest bedroom? Why was that the only room you were allowed to decorate?
We slept in the guest bedroom every day. Amber didn't like the new mattress or bed frame that we'd bought for a decorated room. She bought it, then never spent a full night on it. As for decorating, Amber told me before we moved into the apartment that when we got her...
Wait, so that's why... That's crazy because... What? I'm so confused. Why? I remember Amberlynn like setting up the whole bedroom and like whatever, like it all fancy enough for Amberlynn. Like, that's so weird.
Place, she would be the one to decorate everything, and I wouldn't have a say in any of that. When I asked why not, she said, well, Destiny never cared that I decorated. I think the only reason...
Okay, well, Beck's not fucking Destiny, bro. Like, I think like Destiny very quickly got over your shit real fucking fast. Like, watching the retro reacts right now on the ankle, I mean, we saw within the like first like 3 months, Destiny was clocked the fuck out. Like, she didn't give a fuck at that point. She was just like, okay, whatever, you know? Like, also, Destiny literally, in the house that they end up getting, or the apartment they end up getting together in Kentucky, Destiny made a room, a Destiny room is what Amberlynn called it, like Beck, because Amberlynn was choosing everything in the apartment. And I think at that point, Destiny was so clocked out of that relationship. They were fighting all the time. Destiny knew it was coming to an end, so they didn't care about decorating. Like, it was like, okay, well, this is a temporary house anyways. Like, I'm not going to be staying here. I'm not building a life with you anymore. Like, you want to decorate, you go decorate, kind of thing. It's crazy that, like, you're putting that onto a different partner. Like, and I remember when Amberlynn was first decorating the new apartment in Kentucky with Beck, and people were like, why are you not letting Beck like choose anything? And Amberlynn's like, no, like every time that I get something, I always ask Beck, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? Like, she's part of it. Like, they have so much say in it. It's just that, like, you know, like, I'm choosing it. Like, it's funny because people were literally clocking Amberlynn for this, and Amberlynn once again lied, and it's exactly how we thought it was. Amberlynn saying, you don't get a fucking say in what your house looks like.
And I was allowed to decorate the guest room was because that's where all of my belongings went anyway. I know she didn't like my style, but she never asked for my opinion or found out what kind of decorations I would like anyway. I know everyone has seen what my bedroom looked like, but I do have a much different style for living rooms and public spaces in a home.
Beck, you've mentioned that each time you previously tried to leave, Amber would make promises to change and that things would get better. What exactly did she admit to needing to change? And what exactly did she promise would get better? That's such a good one. Did she make any authentic attempt to change as promised? If so, how long did this renewed honeymoon period typically last before she reverted back to coercive, controlling, demeaning, it's too early for me to read those words in a row, and or otherwise abusive words and behaviours? Did she tend to escalate these behaviours to further wear you down and thus discourage you from another attempt at leaving? Your sharing as much detail as is comfortable may help many others recognise a similar pattern in their or narc abusive relationships. I'm getting a lot of messages saying that Beck's helping them. Yeah, what was she promising to change? It'll get better, I'll change. Change what exactly?
Yeah.
The promises to change would always depend on what my reason for wanting to leave was about at the time. There were a lot of times that Amber promised me she would get therapy in order to change her behavior. She never continued going after the first few appointments, so no progress was ever really made. She promised that she would do better on her diets, that she would help to clean more, that she would be less strict. Her attempts to change were never really authentic. After each promise, she'd try for a few days, she'd be nicer and demand me do less for her, but then gradually go right back to...
That's crazy, though, that's like even a thing. She would demand me to do less. Like, language is so important. The fact that Amberlynn was still demanding their partner to do anything is insane and like not okay. That's not normal. And like Beck had become so used to it. Oh, that's just like so insane to me. It's so insane. Ugh. I freaking hate Amber.
Old ways. The less mobile she became, the more mean and controlling she would be. She became more confident in the way she treated.
I think it's because, because Amberlynn was spiraling in her own way. And like, oftentimes when people spiral, they can do mean actions towards others. That's not an excuse by any means. I just know that that's like a behavioral thing that some people exhibit. But also, I think it's because like, Amberlynn had worn down Beck so much and was able to get Beck to do so many like nasty things, like that's just plain and simple, just nasty things, that she really believed she got Beck, that Beck was not going anywhere, that at this point Amberlynn could make Beck do anything and Beck would do it, and she didn't have to worry about Beck leaving, Beck getting a backbone. And I think that's why when Beck finally did break up with Amberlynn took it the way she took it, because it was such a shock that Beck was able to essentially see the light and get out of Amberlynn's like manipulative and like abusive grasp. Crazy.
Me and in her belief that I would never leave. It continued to escalate until the end of the relationship. She also knew that the less independent she was, the more she needed me, the more bad I would feel for her, and the less likely I would be to leave.
Hi, Beck and Snowflake. That's Mr. Snowflake.
Yeah, because Beck even said that that's one of the reasons that they didn't leave. It's not because they weren't aware of what was going on, how bad the situation was. It was because Beck felt bad for Amberlynn, felt bad for the pets, like didn't know how either of them would be taken care of. So like they felt like they had to stay because Amberlynn didn't have anyone else, and also the pets didn't have anyone else, which is also a manipulation tactic.
Oh, you said Mr. Snowflake, right? Do you think Twinkie and Wasabi are being cared for properly by Amber since she has no one to help her? Well, Rarity just went missing under Amber's watch. The state of Twinkie, nails are back to being long. Amber's trying to prove she's looking after the pets. Oh, look at me brushing wasabi. Can you look at wasabi when you're doing it instead of eye banging the camera?
Literally.
From my experience, she does not properly take care of her animals when living alone. I haven't seen Amber or Twinkie and Wasabi in years, so there's no way for me to know for sure if she truly takes them to see the vet regularly, grooms them, or cleans the litter boxes enough. After hearing about Rarity, it does worry me. I can't say for sure.
I mean, Amberlynn took them to the vet. I think this is the first time that they've ever gone to the vet in like years. And I think the only reason they went to the vet is because of all the backlash Amberlynn's been getting with the pets after losing Rarity. But yeah, Amberlynn does not take care of those pets. It's very clear.
I wonder if you could give us more insight into your family's intervention when they started seeing red flags and when they started to warn you about the relationship.
My family saw red flags from the beginning. My mom, my sisters, and their then husbands all quickly had arguments with Amber. My family is not perfect, and some of them have very, very different opinions from mine, and not all of them support me. But my sisters and my mom did, and were nice to Amber. Amber would go out of her way to stir the pot and start arguments with them. My family pointed out that Amber was controlling, that I was seeing them so much less, and voiced their concerns about my well-being while caring for her to the extent that I did. The day of the intervention, my family asked to meet me at a park, and I had no idea why. This all happened during the bad times, so I don't remember everything that was said. My mom was the one who planned it. She talked to my sisters and said that she wanted to meet up with me away from the rest of the family and talk about her concerns. My mom and sisters all met me at the park and sat down with me. Mom felt like I was being held hostage by Amber and being kept from seeing the family. She saw the state my mental health was in because she had never seen it become so bad before. Because of that, she was really concerned for my safety and just wanted me to leave her in the situation I was in.
Crazy. Can you tell when Hamber is fake crying? I can. If so, what is her biggest tell?
I mean, Amber's fake crying. There's no tears. She puts on this like high-pitched voice, but then like goes immediately back to normal. Her face doesn't get red. Like, I mean, it's like, it's obvious when Amberlynn's fake crying.
Are you thriving in a relationship with a beautiful woman? Your iceberg videos have been so fun. It'll be interesting when you, Beck, when you get all the Amber stuff out and then it's just passion project after passion project.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah. Anyway, can you tell when Amber's fake crying?
When Amber actually cries, there are real tears. She sobs, her shoulders shake, and her voice squeaks. I don't think I've ever seen her genuinely cry on camera.
Damn.
In her last response to Beck video, her eyes are dry, and she changed her voice a little to sound emotional, but you can tell it's not real. She did that a lot while filming, then would stop the video and turn around like nothing had happened. Also, thank you. I can't wait to do more.
This woman is a psychopath, dude. That's crazy. It's just so validating to have all these things confirmed. Her audience has been saying for years, oh, it's crocodile tears, they're not real tears, you're pretending, you're putting it on, like, oh, where's the tears? For it to be confirmed by Beck, like, yeah, she would record a video of her crying, immediately click off, and just go back to normal. That's crazy. That is crazy behavior, dude. Like,
videos showing my interest in things I love.
What is LR really diagnosed with? Yeah. Anything?
Nothing.
Or would she just come back and go, I got diagnosed with all this?
I think the only thing that Amberlynn was actually diagnosed with, and I don't even think it was a correct diagnosis, was bipolar disorder. I think that was it.
I don't know why she's obsessed with being diagnosed with stuff.
While with me, the only thing she was ever diagnosed with besides cancer was bipolar disorder. Yeah. Eric, Amber, and I all visited the same doctor who diagnosed all three of us with bipolar disorder and prescribed us all the same medication based on a questionnaire the doctor had given us. Oh. The doctor eventually took me off that medicine and said my diagnosis may have been incorrect due to my reaction to the medicine. Amber stopped taking it and seeing the doctor altogether. I continued seeing that doctor for years. I don't know about any other official
That's weird. I mean, not to be a bitch, but like, I would not trust that therapist. Like, first off, a group of friends going to see the same therapist is in itself probably not great, like not healthy, especially they all live together. Like, I feel like as a therapist, you should like not allow that. And also for all of them to come out with bipolar disorder is also very weird. But good on Beck for continuing to see the therapist. Although I probably would have tried to see a different one. I don't know. I have some questions for that therapist, if I'm being honest.
No, so she's ever received, and there were no more given while with me.
Like, she's nuts. Was there ever a moment to where you were in so much fear from Amberlynn?
And that's interesting because Amberlynn claimed to have been diagnosed also with anxiety and depression and OCPD by that therapist, just to find out, people were clocking this anyways, that the only thing that she was actually diagnosed with was bipolar. And again, I don't even take that seriously because it sounds like this therapist wasn't diagnosing based on talking with them. They were just diagnosed based on a questionnaire, which is like not how you diagnose bipolar. So like that's worrisome. I had to put on a light. But yeah, that's very worrisome.
You wanted to call for help by police. Family, etc.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I ever felt the need to call the police. I didn't feel physically threatened by Amber, but I did sometimes feel like calling for my family, either wanting to just talk to them or needing to run to them to be by their side for emotional support.
That's so
did
sad.
Ella put times on more things than what you've already told us? How many other things did she do that with?
She would put timers on cleaning, but I kind of found that helpful sometimes. She'd sit in one spot and clean the areas that she could reach from her seat while I cleaned everywhere else. If I watched a movie in the living room with friends or did anything outside of the room she was in and she didn't plan on joining, she'd always ask how long the movie was or what I'd be doing and for how long. I don't know if she...
Amberlynn is such a sad fuck, y'all. Like, imagine being so lazy that you can't get up and go to the next room to watch a movie. And you're gonna force your partner to come immediately after because you, a grown adult, don't want to be alone. That is so pathetic. I'm sorry. I don't care what diagnosis you have. That's pathetic behavior. And just because you have issues doesn't mean you need to make it everyone else's fucking problem.
Set a timer in those instances, but I would get a text right around the time I estimated asking if I was done and when I'd be coming back. She'd set a timer for lint picking, back brushing, and massages, and any activities we did together. She'd set a 10-minute timer while we watched a movie. When that timer would go off, she'd spend 15 minutes on her computer. Then she'd either go back to the movie for 10 more minutes or pick another activity and go back to the movie.
I'd fucking go insane, bro. I'd fucking go insane. That's not ADHD. Like, Amberlynn's like, oh my god, you guys, I have such a short attention span. I have ADHD. I'm so quirky. That's not ADHD, bitch. That's like... you spend so much time on the internet, you spend so much time, like, you've, like, compressed your attention span. Like, that's not normal. That's not an ADHD thing. I'm chronically online and can't, like, pay attention for more than 5 minutes on something. That's crazy. And she wants us to expect that she's reading books, like, just plowing through books, and she can't sit for 10 minutes and watch a movie. Like, I struggle to go through movies, but I don't pause it. I'm just doing other things. Like, I'll be, like, cooking while I'm watching. Like, I can't ever really, for the most part, sit and watch movies. Like, I'll, like, go through notes while I'm, like, watching a TV or a movie. Like, when I'm binging stuff, like, I'm doing other things. I'm, like, washing dishes, or I'm, like... I don't know, crocheting, or like on my phone, or just like a bunch of things. Like, I can't really just sit and watch a movie. That makes sense. To have to pause it every 10 minutes, dude, that's like, your brain's fucked, bro.
After. Sometimes it was reading, journaling, or choosing. If I was in the bathroom, there would be no timer, but she would text, call, or yell to tell me I'm taking too long.
Beck, do you know anything of the rain and petal?
And that's so fucked, because Beck would literally go to the bathroom to get some alone time from Amberlynn. And you have Amberlynn over there screaming at Beck while she's just trying to take a shit. Like, hurry the fuck up. I'm lonely. I want to rot in my bed with someone next to me. Ugh.
Pen and metals. So, the rain and petals eavesdrop story, or the accusations of essay Amber has made towards people. Did she ever come clean, confide, or discredit her own stories?
No.
I don't know how much you've seen. You probably haven't seen all of that stuff, actually. The essay stuff, claiming that she's been essayed by so many people. So many different people, and the story's changed, and the reason why she's...
Yes, initially it was Casey. Then Amberlynn claimed that she was essayed by her cousin, by her father's friends, I think by her grandfather, she said at one point. Like, I mean, she just would randomly start coming up with all of these people that that essayed her in her lifetime, just to come out and be like, oh, well, my definition of essay is different, I guess. No, there's a very clear definition of essay. She literally lied. She dragged people's names through the fucking mud just to be like, oh, well, I guess my definition of essay is different than yours. Like, the woman's crazy. Oh my God. Like, I think with the friends, she's like, oh, actually, like, my dad's friends didn't essay me. They would just, like, be really weird around me. But they didn't essay me. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good what Amberlynn went through too, but, like, there's a very clear different definition of harassment and essaying.
Told the stories has changed. I'll send you all the clips if you want more clarification, but so many examples of it just flat out lying about being essayed.
The Rain and Petals eavesdrop is so ridiculous. The only instance that she told me about was with Casey. Yeah. She never admitted to me that what she said was a lie and never mentioned any of the other instances that I'd heard mentioned in your Mr. Snowflakes videos. She would bring up throughout the relationship that she didn't understand why viewers invalidated her experience, and she would tell stories about things Casey had supposedly done to her. I believe now that Casey is another victim of Amber, and I understand why there's so much doubt about everything Amber says.
Yes.
What shows did Amberlynn say she was going to be on? Oh yeah, I was always talking about some shows contacted her, the shows contacted her. What shows did Amberlynn say she was going to be on?
There was a show called Too Large that contacted her and wanted her to be on the show, but they wanted her to move to Atlanta and to follow a strict diet. She told me that she rejected the show because she didn't want to move and was afraid that...
No, she rejected the diet because she rejected the show because it was a strict diet. That's why. Let's be real.
She wouldn't be able to post YouTube videos while on the show. I also vaguely remember her getting an email about being on My 600 Pound Life, but that could have been totally fake. We weren't sure.
Was Amber secretive?
I mean, I would believe My 600 Pound Life would reach out to Amberlynn. Like, I know some people have said that, like, oh, these shows would never take her because, like, she's such a train wreck and all of that. But to be honest, I think that's a reason why My 600 Pound Life would like these people. Like, if we look at all of the people on My 600 Pound, not all of them, but a lot of them have, like, sordid pasts or, like, you know, like, not great. I mean, they freaking had, what's his name? Willow always talks about him. Asante or something like that. That, like, crazy motherfucker. I mean, they're clearly not afraid to put controversial people on there.
Born during your relationship. Infamously cheated on Emily with Erica.
Yeah.
And was still talking to Abby while with Emily.
Yep. When we first started dating, she mentioned that she received a lot of nudes from people on Snapchat. I told her that it made me kind of uncomfortable, and she told me that she changed the settings or something so that it wouldn't keep happening. But I never looked to see if that were true. Amber was really secretive with her.
Honestly, I don't think Amberlynn did. I think Amberlynn liked it. I think Amberlynn, once again, it's the same thing we always say, she liked feeling wanted, feeling desired, to, like, to her, it was like, oh, look, like, people are, like, so in love with me. Like, they're sending me nudes, which is, like, nasty. But, like, some people view that as, like, flattery. And I think Amberlynn ate that shit up.
Phone. She would take mine and go through it all the time, but told me that she didn't want me looking through her phone because she had private journals and insisted she needed her privacy.
Right.
But fuck Beck's privacy. Amberlynn deserves privacy, but not anyone else. Amberlynn would also always go through Destiny's phone. Was always looking at seeing what Crystal was doing. Amber, you're fucking gross, bro.
So that's the audience's one. There's loads. I could do an endless series on this, but there's enough for another part. But I've done a few as well, because there's a few I want to know. And with the victims, it'll tie up a few things. Anyway. All right. What's this one? Reaction channels. Which reaction channels did she hate the most? I wasn't around then, so.
Karina Kaboom. Amberlynn would yell about Karina Kaboom every other fucking video with Beck. It was crazy. Like, she was obsessed with Karina Kaboom. I know that she was watching absolutely every single video that Karina Kaboom was putting out. Like, to the point that, like, she would try to address things. I mean, she still kind of does this, but not as much. Would try to address things in the comments, and it was just what Karina Kaboom was saying. Like, it was just so obvious.
Sadly, won't be me. It's the ankle now. It's the ankle now. Yeah. How often did she talk about them? Did it annoy you how obsessed she was with them? Did she ever cry over reaction channels? She's admitted to crying over Ask If Em posts and Instagrams. Was she genuinely obsessed? Would she talk about them all the time? Would she cry over Jody? Hope to yes.
Karina Kaboom, Willow Davis, CXNT, Charlie Gold, Kicking Geese, and Apathetic Facts. She talked about the channels daily and watched every video that came out about her. She loved to say that none of them would have a channel or be making any money without her. She'd proudly tell me about her flagging videos of theirs. It was annoying to me that she was so obsessed because it was such an unhealthy obsession. Yeah. She would sometimes cry about the things the channels would say, calling them bullies and saying it was due to fat shaming.
Bully?
How long would you be checking comments?
You're a bully? A bully? Dude, I can imagine how fucking irritating that shit would be after a while. Like, as a partner listening to that all the time, when, like, you're in direct control if you watch those videos or not. You're in direct control if you're looking at your comments or seeing what people have to say. Like, if it really bothers you that much, don't look at it. Don't watch it. Like, you're choosing to, like, cause that harm to yourself. Like, why am I supposed to feel bad about it? Also, real talk, Amberlynn wouldn't have a fucking channel at this point without reaction channels. So, like, it's a symbiotic relationship.
Her videos, and did that ever annoy you? How often she would talk about them? Look what this person said, look at it. How long
I bet.
would she be checking? Would she just check? Because every now and again she'll go, I'm not reading comments. But cheers.
She would spend an hour at a time scrolling through her YouTube comments on and off daily. She would also cry about...
Okay, so she could spend 10 minutes max watching a video before she had to pause it and go do other things because her attention span is so short. But reading comments about herself did for an hour at a time. Bro, this bitch is just a narcissist. She can't do anything for that long if it doesn't involve her. That's the problem. It's not her attention span. It's her. Like, she has no attention span for anything outside of herself. Like, whoa.
Her YouTube comments and talk about how detrimental it was to her mental health, but would go out of her way to read them along with posts on Reddit, Kiwi Farms, and Facebook.
Hygiene. All right. Hygiene. Well, yeah, I think you've been respectful about Amber's lack of hygiene. However, I mean, I wouldn't be. Especially not after a accountability video. I'm sorry you thought you were abused.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you felt like you were abused. I guess, like, I'll accept that that's what you think, but you're exaggerating.
Hey, man. However, I think it's a valid thing to discuss because it must have affected you. It must have had a negative effect on you. Being around somebody who refuses to clean properly.
I mean, again, like, I'm down for Beck to talk about this. I'm down for the questions, but I think in reality, we don't really need Beck to say it. Of course it affected them. Like, of course people were probably miserable living with a woman that wasn't bathing herself, that was like getting her freaking like bodily fluids on everything, like having to smell that, like, of course that's like not enjoyable. Like, come on. But like, I get it. I get that people like want to hear those things, but like, we already know it.
Would have done my mentals in. That wouldn't have been good for me. Was it something you tried to talk to Amber about? And would she get defensive if you did bring it up, or did you not bring it up but wanted to? Did she get defensive if you or anybody brought it up? I mean, you don't have to say how much she stunk or stank.
Yeah, we already know.
But would she ever get defensive if you brought it up? The lack of hygiene. And it is part of the abuse. That is awful to have to put up with that. Yeah. So I know Amber, even though you didn't even mention the hygiene stuff before, Amber wasn't happy that you were talking about the hygiene stuff, even though you didn't.
I would talk to Amber about her hygiene. I tried to convince her to cut her hair to make maintenance easier on both of us, and she refused. I told her to stop wearing the chokers when the dark spots appeared behind her neck, and she told me it wasn't a big deal and that it was fine. I'm not going to go into detail about the smell, but it was brought up to me a lot by everyone around me.
Yeah, that's actually fucking hilarious, because people to this day are like, take the damn choker off, and Amberlynn's like, no, I can take it off, you guys. It fits over my head. See, it's so fine. Yeah, that's... Emma's, I'm sure, just screaming right now.
And I did have to talk to her about it. Her reaction was usually to blame her depression and how she struggled to clean by herself. Eventually, I stopped asking her to help herself because it wasn't going to happen. It did get a little better when we moved into the apartment with the large walk-in shower, but I did still stand in the bathroom and help until the day we broke up.
That's what, first off, that's horrific that you're making your supposed partner help you wash like that. I understand there's certain circumstances where that needs to happen. But like, Amberlynn ate herself to needing that help, which is like crazy to me. But it's really interesting because Amberlynn constantly would be like, oh yeah, I just showered. And then when she moved into that apartment that she was in with Kentucky, she did the whole like shower with me and like showed us about how she could shower. See, you guys, why wouldn't she think I could shower? The only reason she was able to do that is because she finally had a walk-in shower. And essentially a handicap accessible shower. That's what that is. It's so that like people in wheelchairs can like go into it, you know, like, so like, yeah, Amberlynn was not bathing like at all really, or struggling to bathe until she moved into that Kentucky apartment with Beck. That was when she could finally shower. And even then, Beck had to help her till the very end. And Amberlynn was not at her heaviest when like for a lot of that. So like, if Beck had to help Amberlynn during that time, of course Amberlynn is going to have help now. And I guarantee it's her mother. That's why we see her mom come every few days. It's not because Mama Lynn wants to hang out with her daughter. It's because Amberlynn needs a shower.
I see a lot of abuse when it comes to you and Amber. People often mention financial abuse, which is not something I immediately think of when I think of abuse, but it's still a form of abuse. I always think of physical or emotional. But then I see people talking about financial. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, that's a big one as well.
Yeah.
Can you think of any big examples of Amber abusing you financially?
Amber constantly held over my head that she was the only one with an income. During almost every argument, she would tell me how she pays all the bills and buys all the food, as if that gave her a right to control me, and as if I contributed nothing to her life. I would tell her each time that if she felt that way, I'd gladly go back to working. She'd quickly say, no, I don't want you to do that. And she didn't. She couldn't handle being apart from me for any extended period of time. She needed a caretaker, and that was already my full-time job, and a thankless one. Despite that, and doing what I could to contribute by also being in the vlogs, when she knew full well that I didn't want to be, in order to earn the home I was living in her mind, she would also be sure to take away any money I'd get from other sources. I mentioned this before, but even being seen collecting change would trigger her to question whether I was saving up to leave her. When my mother passed away, me and my siblings received a portion of a settlement from my dad's job that ended up being around $5,000 to $6,000 for each of us. I was not allowed to keep it. She told me that the money had to go into paying the bills and my half of the rent. My mom had plans for when—
Are you fucking serious, bro? Amberlynn stole 5,000, literally stole Beck's inheritance? What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck? Does Beck have a case? Like, seriously asking, does Beck have a case at this point? Like, how? Amberlynn stole Beck's inheritance. Amberlynn did not need any money from Beck. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Like, this is worse than I thought the financial abuse was. And I already thought the financial abuse was bad. To steal your partner's inheritance because you didn't want them to have any money of their own because you were scared they were going to leave you is so beyond psychotic. Like, Amberlynn needs to have accountability on this. Like, there needs to be repercussions for Amberlynn Reed. This is insane, dude. If someone has legal advice, or legal anything, contact Beck if they have a case, because that's, bro, wholeheartedly, fuck Amberlynn Reed. Wholeheartedly. This woman does not deserve a day of peace for the rest of her fucking life.
She would have received that money before she passed away. Getting it was bittersweet, and I would have liked to use it in some way to honor her. She wouldn't have wanted Amber to have it, and it really—
You deserve to do whatever you wanted with that money. That was your inheritance, dude. And Amberlynn, who's making, at that point, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, is stealing $5,000 from their girlfriend, who quite literally wipes your ass, bathes you, gets you whatever you want, literally acts like a in-home, like, nurse / maid. Amberlynn is truly one of the most vile human beings to ever put themselves on a public platform. Like, she is right there with Onision. Her and Onision, same fucking level. Like, truly does not deserve a platform. Like, I'm really disgusted by this. Oh my god.
hurt, but she took it anyway. When I told her that I would like to do something with the money, she dismissed it and treated me like I owed it to her, and it wasn't my choice. She said that I couldn't have it because the bills needed to be paid, even though I knew that she was making enough from YouTube to cover bills and rent with no problem.
Yeah?
No problem. Plus, to go spend $3,000 on DoorDash. So she took Beck's inheritance to go buy DoorDash for a month. Fuck this woman, bro. Fuck this woman.
Thanks for doing this, Beck. Not a super long one. Actually, I don't think it was. Oh, no, it wasn't.
It was.
Like I said, there's another part there if you want to do it, but there's no...
All right, I'm going to end it here because this is going to be... I think I'm going to divide it into 2 parts, just because this has ended up being like over a 2-hour video. But thank you all so much for watching. I actually have a ECG seminar in 2 hours, so I'm gonna make dinner really quickly before I go to that. But I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you all for the people who have been watching my vlogs. I really appreciate that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!